Hello, it's a busy time of year, so I figured I would wrap gifts and talk to you because I saw the craziest thing at Costco. I heard the craziest thing at Costco, and I just had to share it with you because I think all of us mamas can, number one, relate, and number two, learn a lot from this story. So it was this mom. She was looking at these Dutch ovens, like the pans, you know, the big stock pots. And she was looking at them and then called her two kids over. They were probably aged like 7 and 9. She called them over to come by her. And she said, "Grandma is giving this to me for my birthday. Do we want cream or blue?" And she was leaving it up to the kids to decide what color the grandma should gift her for her birthday. I have a few different theories about why she may have done this. Number one, my first theory is maybe she doesn't really know herself very well, which happens in motherhood. We lose ourselves in motherhood. We don't really know our preferences. We don't know if we like cream better than blue. We don't know which we would prefer. And so we are just so out of touch with ourselves that oh no, I need tape. So we're so out of touch with ourselves that we don't know our own preferences. And what that translates to is maybe thinking that we don't even have preferences, or that we just are lacking any awareness of what those are. So for our takeaway from this story, let's just decide to get to know ourselves. Let's decide to have some preferences. Even if you think it kind of doesn't matter, what if we just decided to start experimenting with things that we think we're gonna like, things we think we're not gonna like? Because as we do that, we will feel less and less like we're losing ourselves in motherhood. We'll have a lot more self-awareness. I talk about preferences with household tasks, preferences with cooking. Maybe some people think that cooking just has to happen, whereas it absolutely doesn't just have to happen. If your preference is to not cook very elaborate meals, that preference needs to be acknowledged, and you should be living life accordingly, because the whole point is we want to enjoy our motherhood experience. We want to enjoy our life. We want to be kind of creating the life that we want for ourselves. And if we don't know our preferences, how can we ever do that? So along that same vein, not maybe enjoying cooking, that is another one of my theories. Maybe she didn't really want that gift. Maybe she doesn't really enjoy cooking. Maybe she has no use for that Dutch oven. And so I feel like the takeaway for us is then to be honest and true to yourself, and to not be afraid to communicate that to other people. If we think we should be a certain way, if we think we should be doing a certain thing, that's not a good enough reason. So maybe she really is not into spending time in the kitchen. Maybe she's really not into making sourdough bread in a Dutch oven or soup. I mean, I didn't use a Dutch oven ever until, honestly, 2 weeks ago. I've been making sourdough now for a while, but I still wasn't making artisan loaves. And so maybe this woman really doesn't even care about this Dutch oven, but she's not really having the courage to say something to her mom, or to just live as her true authentic self. My third theory is that maybe she feels really guilty and uncomfortable receiving gifts, or receiving anything for that matter. All of us moms can relate to that, because motherhood is all about giving. We give, give, give. That's what it feels like we're supposed to do. And so it can feel really uncomfortable to ever receive things, whether that be gifts or assistance. So that's a huge lesson that we can learn from this. Motherhood should be and is about giving and receiving. That's not only important for us to eliminate burnout, to again, just enjoy our motherhood experience. But more importantly, it's important for our kids to see us receiving, and to for us to model us kind of taking care of ourselves in that way, and to not just endlessly give and never be able to receive. That is so not probably what we're wanting to teach our kids, but what we are teaching them when we are doing that. So hopefully you can receive gifts this season and do it joyfully and happily and be grateful and excited and not feel any guilt about that. Similar but a little bit different, another theory is maybe she feels selfish. So it sounds crazy even saying that, because here she is. If it's gonna be her birthday gift and her mom is wanting to give that to her, how is that being selfish to pick what color you want, right? But we so easily convince ourselves that it's selfish. We can pretty much convince ourselves that just about anything is selfish. It's selfish to have wants. It's selfish to have preferences. When really, it just makes us human, and it makes us relatable. It makes us just a real person that somebody can get to know. People can get to know us by learning our preferences and by us having wants and desires. So for us, what a wonderful thing to recommit ourselves to, that it's such a happy and positive part of life to not only get to know ourselves, but to then allow other people to get to know us and give things to us, serve us in that way, because it benefits everybody. So it's not selfish. It's not selfish to receive gifts. It's not selfish to want things for ourselves. We are thinking about others pretty much all the time. That's just our role as moms a lot of the time. And we don't need to box ourselves into thinking that if ever we are thinking about ourselves, if ever we are taking time for ourselves, that equals being selfish. Self-care is us taking care of ourselves, which is our responsibility, possibly our number one responsibility. Selfishness is not that. It's not the same thing. My next theory was possibly she's lacking some confidence. I think that's pretty clear. I would think that's safe to assume. Regardless of what else is going on, clearly it's maybe a confidence issue. And more specifically, I felt like maybe she's seeking for her kids' approval. Maybe she is really wanting them to like her. She's wanting them to approve of her. She's wanting to get their buy-in for her life choices, which I know this sounds maybe a little dramatic, but I think all of that was prevalent in this request of, and not even a request, but putting this on them. I think as parents, we often are giving our kids a say in something that they have no business having a say in. We are leaving too much up to them when we really, we're the ones in charge. We're the parent here. And so sometimes we need to really step up and act like that. I find myself even doing this sometimes, probably most often with plans. So if I'm needing to run an errand, let's say, I kind of worry that maybe the kids don't want to run that errand. And so I'll not usually, but sometimes I will kind of leave it up to them. And I'll say, hey, I need to go to this store. Do you guys want to go and do that? When really, there's nothing wrong with doing that, but it usually goes pretty poorly because a lot of the times one of my kids wants to go, one of my kids doesn't, and then what? Or maybe I actually realize I honestly need to go whether they want to or not, and so now I've made them think that they get to choose when really they kind of don't. So it's just kind of, I guess, note to self that we want to make sure that we are not giving our kids power that they don't need to have, especially when it comes to our personal things and our personal life. We should be owning those decisions. And then honestly, the confidence piece is probably the biggest thing at play here, I would guess, and something that we have to consciously work on so much because it's really easy to lack in confidence as moms. I just think by nature, we have mom guilt that's kind of always running in the background of our minds that we have to consciously fight against. And so when it comes to this Dutch oven, man, how cool would it be for her to just decide that her kids don't need to have a say in this, number one. She has the confidence and the knowledge to just make a choice and not make them think that this is their realm. Like, the kitchen isn't their realm. They're not probably even old enough to be doing too much in the kitchen. Point is, it was her birthday. It was her birthday, not theirs. Doesn't that just, I don't know, it just really irked me thinking of us as moms just trying to give up everything we possibly can to our family and to our kids. That was it. That's what I felt more than anything was, oh, how sad. How sad that this mom is giving up her one day of the year. That's a perfect excuse to just think about herself and to think about what's going to make her so happy. How sad that she is handing that over to her kids. And the most kind of maybe damaging part of it all, they are then growing up thinking that everything is about them, including their mom's birthday. And that, I think, is where we oftentimes don't realize the damage we're doing because we're not thinking of the long term. We don't want them to be entitled. We don't want them to just kind of always be thinking about themselves. We want them thinking of others. So those were my thoughts. And I just felt like as we get super close to Christmas, we're now less than 2 weeks away, I think. I want us to be okay with receiving gifts. I want us to take this chance. Maybe it's feeling a little too late. Maybe people have done their shopping. Maybe whatever. At least take the chance and be thinking and seeing what's happening at Christmas time. See it through the lens of your preferences, your desires, your wants, your ability to receive. There's a lot there that we can work on. Our confidence is huge. Have confidence in yourself that you deserve all the good things in the world. You deserve to have a really pleasant, wonderful Christmas full of time with family and any of the things that you are wanting. You don't have to make it all about everyone else. You want to be taking care of yourself so that you can serve everyone around you. All right, these are done. Look how beautiful. Merry Christmas, and I will see you very soon.